Thanks for joining me on Life and Surround. I have been getting a lot of inquiries about when I would do a review of Who's Next by The Who, this massive Who's Next Lifehouse deluxe set. Yes, I do have it, and I am trying to work my way through it to digest all of it. And I figure the best thing to do is to do a series of videos as I'm able to digest certain elements of the set. And I'm going to be taking your suggestions about what you would like to see next. So we get to choose our own adventure. So leave comments. And if you like what I do, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, share the videos and all that. Okay, so this set, it's massively overpriced. It's massive and it's massively overpriced. And right now the Blu-ray is locked in this deluxe set. So this qualifies as a tired of mega box sets release, tombs, because the Blu-ray is kind of entombed in here. And but some positive notes about the set. I like how modular it is. It's very easy to like get stuff in and out. There's two very hefty books, and there are two LP sized kind of like gatefold cardboard carriers that the optical discs come in, the CDs and the Blu-ray. And then there's like a envelope for paraphernalia. And I haven't even like worked my way through all of it. And it's got the title on the spine, which a lot of people appreciate, or rather a lot of people don't like when the title isn't there. So I have been able to work my way through the Blu-ray, so I'm going to give some quick commentary on that. It comes in this cardboard holder that houses discs 7 through 11. And then it has a description of the discs on the back. No issues per se with this gatefold holder. I think it's well constructed and well designed. And I appreciate that the discs all have individual cardboard sleeves. So like, let's say that you want to liberate the Blu-ray from your set and just put it up on your bookshelf somewhere. I actually have a section of my bookshelf that has a bunch of these cardboard sleeves from other releases. So here's the Blu-ray. Here's the Blu-ray. All right, so some positives. The Blu-ray contains the entire album, and I believe it's like 17 bonus tracks, 14 bonus tracks, all in stereo, 5.1, and Atmos. Now, there are some who have said that some of the bonus tracks are not in immersive, but in my listening experience, they all played through in Atmos. So don't quote me on that unless I'm right, but I believe I am. Maybe they were referring to Apple Music. So on Apple Music, you can stream the album in a form of Atmos. It's like the MP3 of Atmos. Very compressed for size, lossy Atmos over Dolby Digital Plus. And so if you've watched this channel very much, my opinion about streaming Atmos is it can be a very satisfying experience. You do lose some definition, but particularly on albums where there is just nothing to compare to, like Joe Satriani's Surfing with the Alien, Megadeth's Countdown to Extinction and Rust in Peace, Halsey records, where there just isn't a physical lossless alternative. I have enjoyed plenty of streaming Atmos. All right, so I always appreciate, however, when a product is available in its highest quality. And so in order to get the highest quality here, the maximum definition, you need the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is locked in the box set, and the Blu-ray has the album in Atmos and all the bonus tracks, in immersive and surround and lossless high-res stereo. Alternatively, on Apple, it's only the album that is in Atmos. It's only the 9 album tracks, and then all of the bonus content is actually in stereo, lossless, and sounds nice. But so there is like an exclusivity to the Blu-ray, the bonus tracks. And in my opinion, these bonus tracks are killer. They are killer. I like some of them at least as much as I like some of the album tracks. Okay, now a negative point is that Bargain has been completely upmixed using Pentio. The multi-tracks simply have never been found. And that is something that has actually held up a multi-channel remix and release of this album previously. So there's a reason why we got Tommy and we got Quadrophenia, but we never got Who's Next. And it was some missing master tapes. So they decided just to pull the trigger and go for it. And this has happened on a lot of other surround album releases before, like Octopus by Gentle Giant, Songs from the Big Chair by Tears for Fears. So would I rather have most of the album in discrete, mixed from the multi-track tapes, surround and immersive, and be lacking discreteness on a couple of tracks? Yes, I would. Now, upon first listen, when I just let the album play through, from Baba O'Reilly to Bargain to Love Ain't for Keeping, I did not notice a difference in the upmixed track compared to the discrete tracks. So it is upmixed well enough that, you know, it can be a satisfying experience. When I really honed in and gave a focused listen, I noticed that Bargain just fills the room in a different way. And so, you know, that is what it is. And then one of the other tracks is actually discretely mixed, but it had to undergo some demixing processing. And so it, you know, is derived somewhat from the stereo source, but then they found some overdubs, just not enough to, you know, really carry the whole mix. And so some demixing occurred. And I think that is on Going Mobile, but it's been a while since I looked at the Who's Next Lifehouse book. So that's the book that kind of like gives an overview of this whole project. And it is actually a fascinating read, and I want to leave some of that information for a future video. But let me just say here that upon listening to the LP over, you know, the last many years, I really didn't pick up on the dystopian concept of the original, you know, full idea for this project. And I found it to be an incredibly effective rock album. And certainly, you know, with some commentary on socioeconomics, you know, Won't Get Fooled Again and Teenage Wasteland and stuff. But it is rather interesting to find out that there was this concept of this dystopia where, you know, people had just become completely isolated, and then in a certain way, music becomes this salvific force. And I detect a lot of similarities between this album actually and 2112 by Rush, you know, which is just one of my favorite records. And Neil Peart was a huge fan of The Who. He definitely saw them live in this era and listened to these albums. So I think the influence is there, and in a good way. So thank you, you know, Pete and company for inspiring Rush and Neil Peart to do an incredible work like 2112. And of course, there was, you know, the Ayn Rand influence as well. But I really sincerely believe that Who's Next was a big influence, and in a very cool way. So here's the deal. People are hoping that eventually this Blu-ray will be released as a standalone. Pink Floyd did that recently, where you no longer have to buy the 50th anniversary set for Dark Side of the Moon. There's a standalone release, and so you can experience the brand new remix, remaster, you know, in Atmos without buying the entire box set. And I'm super appreciative of that. I would just point out that these are, you know, different companies, different labels. And so there's just no guarantee that The Who are going to do that. I believe Tommy and Quadrophenia did get standalone releases, at least for certain mixes, at least for certain surround mixes. So, there is some hope, and hope is a great thing. Hope is one of the greatest things in this life. So I do hold out hope for everyone, including myself, that a standalone will come along someday. So I think I've said just about all that I wanted to say at this point. It's a Steven Wilson surround and immersive mix. He did a dedicated 5.1 mix, and there is a description in one of the books about how he approached the 5.1, and there is a dedicated Atmos mix, and he's a master. He's a master of surround and immersive mixing. So, uh, the mix is just amazing. It sounds great, bargain notwithstanding, and even that is a really, really good up mix. So, if you love this album or just want to experience it in a deeper way and maybe like give yourself a chance to fall in love with it, this is a great, great immersive experience. And it definitely opened up elements of this album to me that just probably wouldn't have reached me some other way. I literally got chills up and down my spine during Behind Blue Eyes. And that is a song that I've heard on, rock radio hundreds of times, probably to the point where I'm guilty of skipping it, changing to a different station. So the fact that it was a passionate, riveting, exhilarating, emotional experience, I think is a pretty good testimony to the mix that we have on our hands here. So I hope that many, many of you can enjoy Who's Next immersively. I would say bare minimum, stream it. Streaming devices are cheaper than this box set if you don't already have one. And then, Atmos systems for your home theater are not the cheapest things in the world either, but at least Atmos is somewhat compatible with soundbars and headphones and stuff. So anyway, we all have options. Those options all have costs. But particularly for those watching who already have like Atmos wired in their home theaters and can at least stream this album, go for it. Do yourself a favor and go for it. Oh, I want to show off my Who shirt. I was very, very fortunate to be able to see them recently on their Who Hits Back tour. It was a very good show, and sort of, piqued my interest in this release, and I'm glad that I've gone for it. I'm going to be going through both books, and at this point, I plan perhaps to take like, high quality stills of the books and then maybe read the graphic novel. I'm not sure. So there's a graphic novel of Lifehouse, and I expect that upon digesting that, like you get the whole concept that Pete really intended, and he pitched it to his bandmates and they thought he was kind of nuts. And so at least we ended up getting Who's Next. It is a great, great record. It would have been very interesting if this full-fledged project had, joined Tommy and Quadrophenia as, full rock opera. But instead, we got, I think, the Who's most effective and heaviest hitting, bang for the buck record, one of the greatest rock records of all time. So I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to really get sucked into it and to appreciate it, not just as like a classic rock staple, but for the genius that really, really is packed into it. So I appreciate you watching. Like I said, I intend to make a bit of a series out of this. So leave your comments about, not only what you think about the set, if you have it, the Blu-ray, if you have been able to enjoy it, but also like what you would like to see, in the coming, next few videos about Who's Next Lifehouse, this massive, oh my gosh, this massive set. It's a monolith. It's a monolith. It's just it's a bold and audacious thing. So it's here, it exists, and for better or worse, price and everything notwithstanding, it exists, and I think it's a cool thing, possibly with some caveats. And so, thank you for watching, and thank you for joining me for this experience. And I hope it is a very cool experience for you, and that you, one way or another, are managing to live life in surround.